Good evening all, it's Gilly from Wanderer's Path, and I've come on to my Let's Talk About Ghosts series, and it is a subject that fascinates me. I will state, as I have done in previous videos, that I don't know whether I do believe or don't believe, so basically I'm on the fence. But I am going to share stories with you that have come from people I know. And this is one that my mum told me. Now, they're two separate events, but I'm going to tell them in this same video rather than like two different videos because it shouldn't take too long. Well, it shouldn't do. You never know. The first event happened about 6 months after my mum's best friend died. My mum's best friend was a lady she went to school with, and they'd been friends for 70 years. And in 2017, my mum's best friend passed away. And about 6 months later, my mum was woken up because she needed to go to the bathroom. And so she awoke. The room was dark, but not completely dark because there was moonlight outside. And she was turned towards the part of the bed that was facing the door with the intention of getting up and going to use the bathroom. And she saw a shimmering figure standing there. And my mother said she wasn't scared. She said it was all shimmery, like iridescent. She said, and I know it was my friend. She said, because she was just standing there shimmering. She smiled and then disappeared. My mum was lucid, she was wide awake. My mum's in her 80s, but there's no dementia. She's as sound and as solid as a rock. So she told me this story, and I do believe her because my mum's not one for tittle-tattle or telltales. So that was the first story, and that would have happened in 2017. The next one happened this year. I'm going to go back about a month ago. I was speaking to my mum on the phone a few weeks ago because I live up here in Cumbria and my mother lives in Manchester. Well, I say I live here in Cumbria, not for much longer, but I'm keeping stum about that at the moment. I was on the phone with my mum, and she said to me that a couple of strange things happened to her. She said that during the day, she said all these things happened in the day. She said I was wide awake, I hadn't been asleep. She said I was in the lounge and I was reading a book. My mum loves to read, you see. She said, and I felt an overwhelming presence in the lounge. She said, I just felt this presence. I didn't see anything, but I felt this presence. She said, and then it went away. She said, and the next day, I felt the presence again. Now, I never asked her if the presence occurred at the same time. So I don't know whether the presence that she felt from the day before and the day following was exactly the same time. I'm not sure, but I know that on both occasions that she was sitting down to eat a sandwich, and my mother doesn't have a set time to have lunch. It could be 12 o'clock one day and 2 o'clock the other. So I can't specify whether there was a time difference or not, but there was an overwhelming presence in the room again, and she felt it strongly. She was convinced it was like somebody was in the room with her, but she couldn't see anybody. Then on the third day, she was having lunch again. Again, she didn't stipulate a time, and she was eating a sandwich, and she has a tray in front of her, she said, and she'd put the sandwich down, and she said, I sat back in my chair and I was pushed. I was shoved in the back. She said it wasn't an aggressive shove, but it shoved her enough to jolt her and move her slightly. And she said I was definitely pushed. And I started to question it, and I got the usual mother response. I don't want you and your sister think I've got dementia because I'm in my 80s. I am and I said, Mum, I'm not saying you've got dementia. I am trying to rule things out. I said, I'm just looking at the problem from a logical point of view. Could it be A, B or C? And I explained that to her. I said, you know, we need to look at it logically. There was no logical explanation for it. My mother lives in a detached bungalow on her own. My father passed away 2 years ago, and this happened to her. Now, this is really where it gets weird. About a week later, I had a reading. I do psychic readings. I'm developing as a medium, but I can't read for myself. Most readers can't. So I went for a reading, a phone reading, and I'm not. There's a lot of things that the reader said to me in this reading, and it was so spot on. This reader couldn't know any of this, but one of the things she said was, there's someone in spirit trying to contact a member of your family. And I said, well, that's not me. I said, I know who it is, but it's not me. And she said, it's a man, and I'm getting like dad or a father, and he's around. And then what even more spooked me out was he said he's telling me that he's looking after your mum and he's watching your mum, and he's coming in now because your mum had a fall. And my mum did have a fall. She had a fall last year and broke a hip. And I was like, oh my God, because this reader couldn't have known any of this. I mean, she said other things as well. And, you know, not about my mum's visitation, but stuff about me and what's happened to me over the last 2 years. And it was all sort of true. And I just wanted to share this with you because my mum told it me the other day, and she won't mind me sharing it with you. But I just thought it was very interesting, and the fact that this reader had picked up on it was amazing. So I thought I'd leave it out there for you. There possibly is something, whether we pick up on a person's energy or not, I don't know. Or whether it's something from beyond, I don't know. I've never had a near-death experience, so I couldn't tell you. I have family members have had near-death experiences, like when you're clinically dead and you come out of your body and you go through a tunnel and all that. I've never had that, but a couple of members within my family have. But that, again, is another whole story. Whether I'll touch on that subject in this series or not, I don't know. But I wanted to share this with you, so I hope you enjoy. And I'm going to leave you all in love, light and blessings. And hope you have a lovely week. Okay then, so blessed be everybody.